What a game. Welcome to A Fan Divided. I'm Holly Mandillo. The Red Sox are not only at 500, they're one game over 500 for the first time this season. Earlier last night, it looked as if our time at 500 was going to be cut short. Down 6-0 in the bottom of the sixth. But then Ute gets us to within one. A quick Oriole homer makes it 2 again, but then, in the bottom of the ninth, down again by 1, a couple of walks, and Adrian Gonzalez with a rocket off the monster. Petey scores all the way from first, and the Red Sox win. Could be the win of the season. And who would have thought it could get better than sweeping the Yankees? The Red Sox also announced yesterday that John Lackey is going to the 15-day DL. It doesn't look too serious, though. And it does mean that Tim Wakefield will get the start today against the Orioles. A perfect segue. Last Wednesday, coming on in relief for Lackey, Wakefield became the oldest player in Red Sox history, at 44 years, 282 days, and counting. Yet another milestone in the long and stellar career of our veteran knuckleballer. Previously, I mentioned another record that Wake has his eye on, the magic number of 193. Wins, that is, in a Red Sox uniform, which would break Cy Young and Roger Clemens' record of 192. Wake has 14 to go, and as I said, I realized that him breaking this record is a long shot, a real long shot, as he's not in the starting rotation, and often comes into games when they're already out of hand, like he did the other night. But I would love to see him get it. Why? Because he deserves it. He's been the unsung hero of this team for 16 years. He pitches whenever, wherever we need him. On an earlier episode, I mentioned that time he pitched after the bullpen had been decimated the game before. Well, in researching this episode, I confirmed that game was indeed in 2009. Wake told Terry to leave him in, no matter what happened. And what I had forgotten was, he went on to take a no-hitter into the 8th inning, got a complete game win, and pitched another complete game, albeit shortened by rain, in his next start. He also made the All-Star team that year, for the first time, at the age of 42. Is there anything this man can't do? Oh, well, throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. But when you got the knuckleball, who needs a fast fastball? I've seen my fair share of Tim Wakefield starts. I think he's the pitcher I've seen the most live, actually. And unfortunately, I've seen him lose a lot. Nights when the knuckleball wasn't dancing so much across the plate, but rather out of the stadium. But I've also watched him stifle the best of hitters. There is nothing better than watching A-Rod whiff at a Wake knuckleball. And while the knuckleball may not be the most consistent pitch, the weather, wind, humidity can play a big role in its effectiveness. Tim Wakefield is, and has always been, a constant. In an era clouded by steroids, huge contracts, and even bigger egos, it's nice to be able to root for a man like Tim Wakefield. I've found myself in several conversations over the last few weeks about sports heroes. Maybe it's because of everything that's going on in the world, the news that spread across Citi Field, resulting in chants of USA, USA, leading us all to reflect on the last 10 years of our lives and talk about the real heroes, those brave men and women who protect us at home and abroad, in the armed services, National Guard, police and fire departments. They are heroes. It's hard to justify sometimes the amount of regard we place on sports figures, on celebrities, but I guess it's just human nature. One of those conversations I had was with a coworker. We talked about how disappointing it can be when one of your heroes lets you down. Whether you get the opportunity to meet them in real life and they don't quite live up to expectations, or they do something in their personal or professional lives that diminishes your esteem of them. You know, it can be difficult for fans to process this. Like when we went to see Manny Ramirez's return to Fenway last year, and you wanted to boo him, but sometimes you couldn't help but cheer. I was also lucky enough to see Roger Clemens' return to Fenway Park as a Blue Jay. And we booed and booed and he pitched brilliantly. But when he didn't come back into the game, either in the 7th or 8th inning, Fenway went crazy. We chanted, "Roger, Roger, Roger," until our hero stepped up from the dugout and tipped his cap to the fans who loved him for all those years. I found myself crying as I wrote this, and I'm not a crier, but it was an emotional day and an experience I'll never forget. But getting back, it's increasingly difficult for fans to trust their favorite players. When you make that all-important jersey choice, you can't help but wonder, will this person just end up letting me down? Maybe it's unfair for fans to put this much pressure on athletes. We know, Charles, you don't want to be a role model. But you are. That's life. And we know it's ultimately a business. But in the wake, pun intended, of all these scandals, Ramirez, Clemens, Lawrence Taylor, Tiki Barber, Barry Bonds, LeBron James, just to name a few, it's nice knowing there are a few players you can count on to remain loyal, to not take more money to go play for the Yankees, Johnny Damon, to have the character that extends off the playing field. I've never met Tim Wakefield personally, something my husband likes to remind me of with regularity. You see, the year after we moved to Los Angeles, Tim Wakefield attended my husband's company's holiday party in Boston. We could have been there. Could have gotten to shake his hand. So don't think I don't regret it too. But I like to remind him who was the understanding wife, or I guess at that time fiancé, who without hesitation said, "Oh, you got a ticket to tonight's game? Game 3 against the Angels. ALDS. Also the night we've planned a dinner/apartment warming party to watch this game with our friends. Is there a ticket for me? Oh no? Oh, well go. Have a good time. See David Ortiz hit the game-winning walk-off home run without me. It's fine." But I digress. I don't know Tim Wakefield personally. I'm sure he's not perfect, but I think we can safely say he's close. His work on and off the field is inspiring. From his early days in the minors, realizing he probably wouldn't make it as a position player, deciding to learn the knuckleball because all he wanted to do was have the best opportunity to play, to going 16-8 in his first year with the Red Sox, pitching in the 2004 ALCS, going 17-12 in 2007, to winning the Roberto Clemente Award in 2010 for his commitment to helping the community. It's nice having someone like Tim Wakefield to root for. And if someday I do get the opportunity to meet him, I'll shake his hand and say, thank you. Here's to you, Wake. Whether you reach 193 or not, you've done so much more for us as fans than any 1 or 2 wins can do. Thank you. And good luck tonight. I'm Holly Mindillo, and I am a fan divided.